The truth about Three's Company has finally come out, and Joyce DeWitt, the actress who played the sweet and sensible Janet Wood, has broken her silence at age 75. For decades, fans of the hit sitcom have wondered what really happened behind the scenes. How did a show that defined an era, that made millions laugh every week, suddenly fall apart? And why did the stars who once seemed inseparable end up bitterly divided? After years of speculation, Joyce is finally revealing her side of the story, and what she has to say will shock you. When Three's Company premiered in 1977, it was unlike anything else on television. The quirky comedy about three roommates, Jack Tripper, Janet Wood, and Chrissy Snow, living together in Santa Monica quickly became a cultural phenomenon. With its slapstick humor, suggestive storylines, and irresistible chemistry between the cast, the show skyrocketed to success. For Joyce DeWitt, who was relatively unknown at the time, the role of Janet was life-changing. She became a household name, adored by fans who loved her quick wit and girl-next-door charm. But while the series appeared to be a dream come true on screen, behind the camera, tensions were quietly brewing. At the center of the storm was Suzanne Somers, who played the bubbly Chrissy Snow. By the third season, Somers had become the breakout star of the series, drawing attention not only for her comedic timing but also for her glamorous public persona. When contract negotiations came around, Suzanne demanded a massive salary increase and a cut of the show's profits. Producers balked, and what followed was a bitter standoff that would tear the cast apart. Somers began refusing to appear on set with her co-stars, shooting scenes separately and communicating through intermediaries. The tension was so intense that it became impossible to ignore. For Joyce DeWitt, the ordeal was deeply painful. She and John Ritter, who played Jack Tripper, had worked tirelessly to build the show's success, only to see it unravel over money and egos. In her recent reflections, Joyce admits that the betrayal she felt during that time left a scar that lasted for years. She describes the set as becoming cold and hostile, a far cry from the light-hearted energy that fans saw on screen. "We were a family," she said, "and it broke my heart to see it fall apart." When Somers was eventually written out of the show, the damage was already done. The chemistry that had made Three's Company magic was fractured, and though new characters were introduced, the series never quite recovered its original spark. Joyce and John Ritter carried on, doing their best to keep the laughter alive, but the behind-the-scenes cracks were visible to those who knew. Fans continued tuning in, but the joyful innocence of the early seasons was gone. For years, Joyce DeWitt stayed silent, avoiding interviews and refusing to publicly criticize her co-stars. She retreated from the Hollywood spotlight, focusing instead on theater work and her personal life. But now, at 75, she has finally decided to open up, not with bitterness, but with honesty and reflection. She reveals that the collapse of Three's Company wasn't just about contracts or money. It was about trust, loyalty, and the fragile bonds that fame can so easily destroy. In her words, the show's downfall serves as a cautionary tale. Success can be intoxicating, but it can also breed division. For Joyce, the greatest tragedy wasn't the loss of a paycheck or a role. It was the loss of the camaraderie and love she once shared with her castmates. Yet she also makes it clear that she holds no grudges. Time, she says, has softened the pain, and she prefers to remember the laughter and joy the show brought to millions rather than dwell on the conflict that ended it. Now, looking back, Joyce DeWitt's revelation is both heartbreaking and inspiring. Three's Company may have fallen apart, but its legacy endures. For fans, it will always be a show that brought smiles, laughter, and a bit of mischief into their living rooms. And for Joyce, sharing her truth at last is her way of saying goodbye to the pain and embracing the legacy of the show that defined her life.